In a time where monetization is running rampant, half-baked games being delivered to your door on the daily, and demanding higher and higher prices, out comes a live service shooter that out of nowhere took the internet by storm.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Helldivers 2. And it got so close to defying the odds, especially being a shooter in the year of 2024, which is basically asking to be exploited by corporate greed. That's like asking Nintendo not to ruin everyone's fun.
Actually, quantum mechanics forbids this.
I'll be honest, I didn't even know there was a Helldivers 1, and I only heard about this game when one of my friends suggested we should play it, coming off the fatigue we developed for Destiny 2. There was just something about this game that really made it just fun. Yes, it's a shooter, and at its core, it's really just shooting things and completing objectives like transferring packages or defending and escorting important personnel. But it does these little things here and there really well, that all add up to make it a real joy to play. Like, a lot of the missions involve interacting with terminals and calling things in that require interaction with said terminal. Now, normally from John AAA titles, you bet your ass they would require you to simply press a button and in the off chance maybe move a cursor around to then press a button. You know, if they're feeling generous. Helldivers instead incorporate this arrow function input, which is also required for calling in stratagems. What are stratagems? Well, think of it as kill streaks without the kills and the streaks. But just the summoning part, that is now more than just one button press. Why am I so excited about directional input? Because at first glance it doesn't seem all too impressive, but this simple incorporation adds an additional layer of engagement, which I personally really enjoy, as tense situations now become even more tense, as you are essentially trying to enter the GTA cheat codes before you get fucking obliterated. This really elevates the game for me, as it prevents the situation in most games where people just sort of zone out and wait for their abilities and then press a button. A really well thought out mechanic that is so simple. Another small thing done really well is the ability to dolphin dive. Now I'm sure you're thinking, what is so good about being able to dolphin dive? My answer is nothing. It's fucking stupid. But in Helldivers 2, because of the stratagem's tendency to be, how do I say this, large and explosive. But you find yourself diving out of the way a lot of the times, and my god are some of these moments just cinematic and just plain cool as hell. Divers 2 is. I'm sorry. I just think it's neat. While you're busy getting swarmed by bugs or ambushed by robots, you can do it all in style. Oh, and also the ragdoll mechanics. I don't know if it's a feature or a bug, but it's ridiculous. I love getting thrown violently across the map. Getting thrown violently is my passion. One of the last things I really think is a nice addition is the absolute intense commitment to this almost parodying of an authoritarian government, with the over-the-top patriotism in the play's voice line to the propaganda and communications. It's just so over-the-top, and the passion in the voice actors' voices really sells it, and I love it.
Freedom! Prove to yourself that you have the strength and the courage to be free.
Democracy, motherfuckers! On a more serious note of the overall gameplay, I really like how different enemy factions require different approaches, which at the moment there are only currently 2. The bugs and the bots, with a third rumored to arrive soon, but I'll touch on that later. So for the bugs, a more aggressive playstyle is needed, as they will overwhelm you with their numbers if they aren't dealt with early. And so it really requires a heavy firepower and training playstyle to be successful. Basically, big and loud and fast playstyle. While the bots, because they have ranged weapons and not that many numbers, really allow you to play a more stealth playstyle if you so choose. Obviously with multiplayer that's not a thing, but at least you can do it in solo. I appreciate the option. What's more is because of the varying playstyle demanded, it really makes use of all the weapons and support weapons. Like, everything has a purpose, as there are also a large variation of missions that really take advantage of certain builds, like the mortar and the 380 stratagems, otherwise known as throwing and immediately getting your ass kicked. Really becomes its own in any of the defense missions, as it just makes a meme of the enemies. Like, I think Arrowhead has done a pretty good job balancing weapons, cause usually balancing shit typically never works, cause something always gets nerfed to shits and then makes another thing extremely overpowered. This now leads me to what AAA companies need to really start doing. Loving their game and their community. Coming from Destiny 2, it's like night and day. All Arrowhead has really done is just acknowledge when an issue is active, and that's it. But they are really good with their communication though. One of the more recent examples was when PSN was required to play Helldivers 2, causing an uproar among the player base for various reasons, including simply not wanting to use PSN, to outright not having the game be playable in certain regions. The devs acknowledged the uproar and did initially have a absolutely terrible response, but later advised everyone to bomb the Steam reviews so they could negotiate the decision with Sony. And miraculously, a few hours later, Sony actually caved in and reverted the changes. Admittedly, the issue of the game not being playable in certain regions is still ongoing, but the efforts and direct communications is appreciated. And yet in the year of 2024, this practice is more uncommon than a US president not being from the local museum. AAA companies would rather draw 25 Uno cards than provide actual community support. I'm just kidding, they wouldn't even know how to play Uno without putting the cards behind a paywall first. Uno, more like, uh-oh, where did the cards go? Behind a paywall. On top of this, Arrowhead also did some very little things that show they actually care for their game by adding different gun animations when requested to outright quiet releasing new enemies and just letting the player base discover it themselves rather than just announcing it in a patch note. The third enemy faction is also rumored to be quietly released too, so I can imagine logging in one day and just being absolutely shocked at what you're looking at. Which brings me to the live service aspect of the game. This game is actually a live service game. And not one of those fake ones that update stuff every few months. The game literally updates itself in response to the player base successfully completing missions. I mean, you can see the percentages ticking over live on each of the planets. It really gives you the sense you are fighting something bigger than yourself. I also really like how planets have different skyboxes depending on how many players are fighting over said planet. Like on the more thought over planets, you can really see a lot of ships far off in the distance. And while playing on the planets further in enemy territory with only a couple of Helldivers deployed, you can only really see 1 or 2 ships. Again, it's only small things, but really makes the game feel live. Now, we can't talk about a game in 2024 that is backed by a AAA publisher without mentioning the forbidden M word. Monetization, sorry. Got mangoes on the brain. And my god, let me just say, this has to be the least predatory monetization system I have ever seen in my life. So what is this system? Well, it's a store and a battle pass, very conventional and to be expected. All the weapons are locked behind the battle pass, and different skins can be bought through the store. Wait, how is this not predatory, you might ask? You're right, if this was EA, but it's not. Because everything here you see, obviously not this, but everything in the store and the battle pass can be obtained in-game and isn't impossible to get. And the battle pass or war bonds itself doesn't fucking expire. So there's no pressure and fear of missing out. What? No way. Like, the currencies for the battle pass and the store are both rewarded for quite literally completing objectives like participating in the galactic war. Yes, I said participating. Quite literally handing out awards for trying. As long as the main objective is a win, no matter how much you did, you too get rewarded. You can also find these hidden in the maps too, which really rewards players for exploring the map and really getting the most out of the missions. This is how you do a monetization system. Those who have money can buy. Those who can't afford or don't want to, don't have to. And it's technically no play to win, cause it's PvE. What are the enemies gonna do? Call you out for buying a weapon? It's no shock that big games take money to make. I know, right? Games costing money to make? No way. And as such, we have to please the investors that gave the money in the first place. And Helldivers has done it in a way that's fair for everyone. If you want to grind, is it retardedly impossible? No. If you want to buy because you don't want to grind, does that make you retarded and maybe have too much money? Sure. Well done, Arrowhead. This is what AAA and those wanting to make games should be doing, cause there's definitely nothing wrong at all that Arrowhead has done. Yep, it's perfect. Absolutely nothing wrong. Except for the fact this game is quite literally trying to burn my PC. What the fuck are you trying to do? This isn't a competition with Google Chrome to see who can take more resources. 90% utilization on GPU and CPU during Helldive mode. What are you trying to do? Cast my PC in the hell? And don't get me started on the constant crashing of the game. Want to play this brand new game you just bought? Nah bro, crash. Don't blink, crash. Don't breathe, crash. Crash, crash. How am I meant to play my service on the Sun Simulator now? In all seriousness, this crashing and temperature situation was quite detrimental. It was like every patch note that came out for the first month fixed something, but then broke something else. With literal threads of people desperately trying to fix the game through random settings and lines of codes you put in the game as it starts up. It didn't take until a whole ass 2 months after release for the game to be stable for me. All while having people's PC pushing max usage or not even the highest level of difficulty. I understand it's rendering things all at the same time, but this sort of stuff is simply unacceptable and really disappointing, especially in this day and age. Say what you want to say about AAA titles, even though it's buggy sometimes, at least you can still play it. And it's not trying to cook your PC. As fun and great of a game Helldivers is, all that really means nothing at the end of the day if the product doesn't even work on release. So what can AAA companies learn from Arrowhead and Helldivers 2? Well, they can start loving the game and try not to be so greedy. What should they continue to do? Having a working product. What can we learn from this game? The small details make a difference. Is it that easy and simple? Yes. Helldivers was so fucking close. Alright guys, hope you guys enjoyed that video. Please make sure to like and subscribe for a better lifestyle. Make sure to exercise. In all seriousness, hope everything is okay, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Laters!
Somebody once told me the world is gonna